I mean, during Jim Crow, we were more successful.
We were.
How was that possible? I think maybe because black people at that time, even though we were, first of all, we were much more of a community.
Yes.
There were 2-parent homes. There were very little black homes that didn't have 2 parents in it. People went to church as families more. And then also, people worked hard, and most of all, people didn't complain as much as they actually do now. Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. We are more free than we have ever been. Yeah. And as far as black people, we're more than we've ever been. Yeah. And yet, we're not as successful as we used to be. Yeah. They had a mission. They were out to make wealth within the communities.
They wanted generational wealth, not generational welfare. With the Candace Owens things, I bet you guys just love Candace Owens. I do. Well, I do. I don't know Candace Owens.
I don't know her.
Right, but I will say that when I first, I knew about her a little bit, but I remember when I first started really pay attention to Candace Owens. That's when I saw her on Joe Rogan show. She was on Joe Rogan and she started to talk about climate change. Then I started to look at both sides. This is when I started to switch over to listening to everything. And when she started to make a whole lot of sense. And then I saw her with the climate change thing. And then when I saw her she was doing a summit or TI. It was like Killer Mike, TI. I think it was BET Summit. I don't know. Anyways, she was there and she was, man. I don't know how this woman was able to be on that panel and take all of those hits by her little self, but she was up there just taking them. But she was trying to explain, because black people are so emotional. Mm-hmm. She was trying to explain to black people that everything she was saying was so right that I'm just I wish the crowd would just shut up for just a minute just to hear her, because they don't like her because they're told not to like her. Mm-hmm. They're told that she's the big bad wolf, she's the big, coon, and, she's only, she's married to white man, so she's, so the whole thing. But I'm like, no, this woman makes a lot of good points. What you can say about Candace Owens, the woman knows her stuff. She knows a lot of facts. What are you talking about? She's, how old is she, 32 years old? She's a young lady, which I love when I see young people in general that are paying attention. Mm-hmm. Okay, whether you agree with her or not, the woman has her facts. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's talking about, and then she believes what she's saying. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that she's worth definitely listening to, because what she's saying, you guys, is a lot of facts. Yeah, it's a lot of. But she's been demonized.
Also, I think I saw when I first saw her, I think I saw myself in her, because I remember she was saying that a lot of the reasons why people are mean to her is because, particularly her black people. Mm-hmm. And she was saying is that when you don't feel sorry for yourself, people don't feel sorry for you. It's true. And they think, and that happens to me a lot. I remember when I was working when I was in New York, and I was working, and there was this girl. I worked for DKNY, and our area was being sent away, so we were going to be moved. Mm-hmm. And so the girl that I worked with started crying. And the guy that worked there, he was all, he was all comforting her and everything. And I wasn't crying, because I looked at it as business. This is what happens with companies. You know what I mean? And I just couldn't believe she was crying at work. That just was weird to me. You know what I mean? And so he was all God, Kara, I was like, what? I'm sad too. You don't feel sorry for me because I don't feel sorry for you. You're not showing, she's feeling sorry for herself right now. And it's just and so when you don't give that kind of energy to people think they can get tough with you. I know. And you can get tough with me. That's fine. You know what I mean? I can generally take that. You know what I mean? But, because I have a backbone. Mm-hmm. But I do think that when you don't walk around playing the victim all the time, people just don't see you as a victim, and they will try to come at you. You know what I mean? She has that, though. I think Candace... And I like that about her. Yeah. I do see myself, and she is a Taurus like me, so maybe that's why. But she was but I do think that there is, when you have toughness in you, I think people think they can come and get you. Mm-hmm. And at that summit with Killer Mike and T.I. was just, hanging on everybody's feelings and trying to make her look stupid, calling her bullshit and saying, because you're always talking bullshit. And all the crowd just erupts, and they like watching this black man take this black woman down. And I could think it's just no, she's speaking the truth, but we have an audience full of black people that feel sorry for themselves. Yeah. And they want to hear what T.I. has to say, because T.I., no matter how rich he is going to virtue signal and make and make everyone feel good about feeling bad, feel good about feeling bad. And then she doesn't do that. She doesn't feel sorry for anyone, and you shouldn't feel sorry for people.
I even think he mentioned in that summit at some point, he was like basically saying that he benefits because Trump was the president, was he? Yeah. So he was basically saying I benefit from Trump, but being president because T.I. is obviously is a very wealthy man. It's kind of interesting because of that whole thing. Maybe look at, and we mentioned before how we feel like black people a lot of times are very emotional when it comes to like politics and things like that. And that watching that crowd of that, if I could find a clip, I hope I don't have copyright. I hope I get copywritten, but I'll try to find one. It's not. But watching the crowd be so emotional when she's like,
when she's trying to make you feel like
she's trying to make some valid points and she's bringing out some facts. She's fact based, which is perfect, right? So bring out facts and to see everybody be so emotional. And I'm sitting here looking at the TV like, guys, like if I was yelling, like, guys, you have to calm down. She's trying to explain to you what you don't know.
Right.
It's okay to look. I was a progressive person, and all that, liberal, whatever. And there's a point where you have to say to yourself, maybe I was wrong about that. That's my facts were not right. Right, my facts were not right on this particular subject. So when people can't do that, you get emotional like that because you don't want to admit that you're wrong about something. You don't even want to look at it. You want to see. They don't even hear her talk. They won't even let her talk. And I'm just thinking, you don't want to hear what she's saying because what what she's saying is right. And the truth is that what she's saying is right. Like it's factually right. Most of the things that she talks about that I've seen her talk about. But I do like Candace Owens. I don't know her. I can't say I love Candace Owens, but I do.
But I like
I respect what the woman's saying. And
I think that a lot of rich black people, like I said, they virtue signal, and they do that to crowds of people who are not rich. And I think Jericho Green, he calls it survivor's guilt.
Yeah, it is.
Where all these black people who made it out of the hood now have survivor's guilt, and so they feel like they have to take a knee, and they have to.
He ain't living in your neighborhood.
Like, he ain't living in your neighborhood.
He ain't in your neighborhood.
You know what I mean? LeBron James ain't living in your neighborhood, and none of them want to. Over, by the way.
Yeah.
And most of them live by mostly white people.
That's the funniest.
You know what I mean? And so
they don't want to.
I agree with him. I do think that it is like survivor's guilt. They feel sort of guilty
that they made it
they
out.
Are no longer a part of a system or a neighborhood that brings you down. They got out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They still rap about it. Though.
What I like about people like Candace, so even Kanye West and someone is that he doesn't allow black people to feel bad. He wants you out too.
Yeah. Kanye West.
And the only way you're going to ever get out is when you don't feel sorry for yourself.
There is
sorry
no way
for yourself keeps you where you are. Feeling like you can get out and doing something with your life gets you out.
Yeah.
You don't even got to go to college.
Yeah.
You just have to have a purpose and be doing it. That's it. If you have follow through, you can get anything done.
If your mind is still cluttered with false facts, then it's like you can't move forward. There's nothing you don't want to move forward. But I think that when people like Candace or other people speak facts about things, I'm thinking, well, you're going to feel a bit more free once you realize that you've been bamboozled here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I realized there are some things that I was just simply wrong about, and I was able to admit that. But I don't know if black people are able to go there.
But I do think that there's a certain, I think Russell Brand was talking to Candace Owens and they were talking about, the economy and everything and how he was saying that, like she was saying that there needs to be, government programs to help certain people. And then she was just like, he was like, I don't think everybody has, he said to her, I hate when people, like you, talk to the masses of people this way because it makes them think they can be like you. She's like, right. She's like, see, that's the difference between me and you. I believe in the individual. You don't. And she's just like, he's like, no, I do. He's like, no. She's like, no, you don't. Yeah. You think that people who are successful aren't real people. And the thing is, it's like, how did you get where you got?
Yeah.
You were on heroin.
Right.
How did you get to where hard work and dedication? How did you get off heroin? Hard work and dedication. She's like, that's the way everybody gets to where they want life. Hard work. How do you lose weight? Hard work and dedication. How do you become successful? Hard work and dedication. That's the way. It's something very
superior though. And then probably not even by meaning, like Russell Brand, for instance, probably not even meaning to be acting superior. But there is something like guilt. But
Survivor's guilt.
there's something very superior about I made it out, but I feel so sorry for you guys down there who didn't quite make it out, but I made it out, and but I'm still going to take up for you guys that are never going to make it out. You don't see any. It's as if you think those people are somehow you think you're different than them, and I don't think honestly, y'all, I just don't think that any celebrity is different than me. I think they do something different than me. The path was maybe different than mine. I don't have any. I don't want to be a celebrity, but I'm just saying that when it comes to like success and all that, I believe anybody can have it.
Well, I mean, I believe God gave us all the gifts.
It's a path, yeah.
I think God gave us all gifts. He also gave us a different path. I think the reason why everybody becomes successful at different times is because you inspire other people who may be at the same age as you or the same gender as you, that you can now come out of it. And I think it would be more productive if these famous people would just say that instead of going up there and saying things like, police brutality is coming to get me. Like LeBron James, I'm afraid of the cops while he has lots of cops around him. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't help for people like Michelle Obama to sit there and say things like that. Like, I'm afraid my daughter's going to get gunned down. Why don't you stop talking about that? Because because you were the first lady, you know the statistics, and that is not something that's going to happen to your daughters for sure. So why would you say something like that? You say that because you are, again, virtual signaling and trying to get people to feel bad about themselves so they can pull the lever for some Democratic Party and we can start doing socialism for here in eternity. And I think that will come to backfire on us if we don't understand how to help ourselves.
Right.
I think charity is a wonderful thing. I believe in giving. I really do. But I do think that if you do too much giving and you don't look at the person you're giving to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people are literally just moochers.
Yeah.
And you're never going to help those people. Those people, that's just a way of life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so we do have to, I just believe in personal responsibility. And I think that when you make mistakes, it's okay to have help, but I also think it is a part of your own personal responsibility to attempt to get yourself out of what it is. And I do think once you do that, then God sends you help where you need it.
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything by yourself, so it's going to come as you go. But if you're sitting around here whining and crying, no one helped me, want to do this, I need that, then eventually this is going to be who you are.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to move forward if you stick to that kind of mindset. Either you're going to, free your mind, move forward, keep going, put your head down and go, or you're going to stick to your old story and stay stuck. There's your option. You have two options, and I just think that. A lot of people don't want to. The other option seems harder than like moving forward, especially when your conditions are not so positive. It's like that people don't want to do the hard path. See, this is why I get weird with the short road. And I think that Black people have to stop being so. I won't say judgmental, but I think on some level most people are judgmental. I just think it's part of human nature, to be honest with you, but. I think people, when it comes to her, they really need to listen to what she's saying and be willing to understand that. But if you are deeply ingrained, it's ingrained in you to only think one way, that means you've already been brainwashed to not even change. Yeah. So when you see someone like a Candace Owens, you're going to be listening to what she's saying, and it's going to go one ear out the other. All you're going to be doing is just looking at her in a way of demonizing her. Yeah. Demonizing her instead of just listening to what she's saying. Now, I don't know what everything Candace Owens has said, but I can say the stuff that I've heard. She's accurate in what she's saying. Accurate. So if you mentioning her, I mean, like, if you want my opinion on it, I don't understand why Black people are not thinking like that, to be honest with you. I mean, during Jim Crow, we were more successful. We were. How was that possible? I think maybe because Black people at that time, even though we were, first of all, we were much more of a community. Yes. There were 2-parent homes. There were very little Black homes that didn't have 2 parents in it. People went to church as families more. And then also, people worked hard, and most of all, people didn't complain as much as they actually do now. Yeah. And this is why I'm saying we are more free than we have ever been. Yeah. And as far as Black people, we're more than we've ever been. Yeah. And yet, we're not as successful as we used to be. No. We're not as, our families are completely broken up. We couldn't be more or less of a community. Like Black people simply do not like each other. Right. We applaud ignorance too much. We love to watch ignorant women on stage act like fools, and men too. You know what I mean? It's just a different culture now, and it's gotten worse. You know what I mean? Welfare is higher. There was very little people on welfare, you know what I mean? There was very little people, the crime rate was very low.
You know what I mean? And so how could that be at a time when we had to drink from separate fountains?
The idea, but it
Those
just
people
shows
had
you,
drive.
yeah.
They had a mission. They were out to make wealth within the communities.
They wanted generational wealth, not generational welfare.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And now we have generational welfare.
They wanted generational wealth. They're trying to figure that out. They wanted community. They wanted family. But that's Jim Crow.
Think about that.
Black people in Jim Crow. Just think about that. Yeah, it's like they were more of a community and more out for. They really lived their life. Like, you know how other cultures, like Mexican and all, you know, how they all kind of help each other no matter what, Indian, even if they don't really know each other, you know that they see another Mexican, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to help this person. It's just kind of like that. This is how it was then. Like, they just helped each other. And now we you know, it worked.
I mean, areas, certain areas, I mean, like, that used to be, like, areas that are now horrible areas in our country were not at one point. It wasn't until after rioting that those companies, there are areas in Baltimore and California and that never recovered from the 60s. Yeah. And they are horrible neighborhoods to this day. After the Civil Rights Bill was signed, well then, you know, welfare came in.
Yeah,
and
right.
It broke up our communities.
Yeah.
If people stopped working.
It did.
And people started leaning more on welfare. We started rioting.
All those little communities are getting bad. Anywhere you go in the United States of America, if your city has a Martin Luther King street,
it's a bad neighborhood.
It's a bad neighborhood. We have a street here in Indianapolis, Martin Luther King. Okay, and it's a bad neighborhood.
In every city where there is a Martin Luther King Boulevard street is a bad neighborhood. Yeah, that's it's weird considering he was about peace.
The odd, twisted irony in that is.
It's crazy.
That always blows my mind because that's so true. But see, you guys, this is the things that we have to be talking about. We can't just be sitting here being mad at someone like Candace, you know what I mean, or getting mad at someone who's challenging welfare and challenging the idea of welfare. Like calm down.
But I do think that it's better that when people like Candace or people like us that are that didn't come in with a silver spoon saying this. Yeah. See, I think that if it were Donald Trump's kids saying this, or even Oprah, if Oprah had kids,
or the
Obama kids, if they were saying you would feel you wouldn't feel attached to them because she went to Harvard. Her father went to Harvard. Father was the president of the United States, so her mom went to Harvard. You know what I mean? So you would think, well, those people don't know what it's like. They're not poor blacks. They're uppity blacks. You know what I mean?
But we've had that comment before where someone has said that we must have been raised with money and. We've never said that.
No, but there is a thing called common sense.
Which common sense. Short supply. If you have manners, you can.
Common sense, which is moving on short supply these days on every race. Right. You know what I mean? We are just
critical thinkers.
Critical thinkers. That's it. I just think that I can be whatever I want, and I only want as long as I work for it.
That's it.
You know what I mean? That's just how I feel. I feel like there are blessings for people who work, and put effort in their life. Even in our hardest time, God will provide. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But also help you provide for others. Like He's put us in a position, where we're able to help others.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like it's.
And I do think that is a blessing. That's why I say I do believe in charity and helping others. Because I do think if you're in a position where you can help other people, that means that your life is doing all right. You're okay.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. You know what I mean? And so I think that gives you a confirmation for yourself as well. That's why I say I don't really like when people talk about their problems too much. There are people that every day they want to tell you about something that's going wrong with their life. And it's like count your blessings, not your issues.
We're not complainers.
Because if you can find out I was watching Joel Osteen once. I read his book. There was a long time ago I read his book, and he said sometimes people don't realize the way that they say things.
I know.
You shouldn't say things like, I have to go to work, I get to go to work. Yeah. I have to mow my lawn, I get to mow a lawn.
I have to pay bills.
I'm glad that I have bills to pay, and I can pay them. Things like that. I have to do this, I have to do that, I get to do this, I get to do that. You know what I mean? And so his point is,
as soon as the bill comes in, I'm like, I can pay it.
Yeah, I can pay it.
Thank God I can pay it. I'm glad I have
service for something. Right. And that I can pay for it. You know what I mean? And people just complain about things that they don't realize that if you just switch the way you say it, it sounds different.
And also, if that thing that you're complaining about gets taken away, then you're gonna be thinking, maybe I shouldn't have complained about the
But
fact that
people spend their life upset at things that, like, don't be mad you have to pay bills. You started the bill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you can't afford something, don't get something started that you can't afford. But don't be mad that you had to pay rent. You gotta be happy you have a place to live.
Right. But yeah, it's just our kind of our analysis on this. We're just people who just, like we Kara said before, all the time we go feel sorry for you movements, since we have a lot of that. And I just think that we need to change the conversation. And if we change the conversation, then I think it can change people's minds. But let us know in the comments what you think about all this. What are your thoughts? And that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Everybody have a really good day. Bye.